So I think recording is started now, no?
Recording starting हो गया.
Yes. So today's topic is the rules of overriding. Okay. So in the last classes we already discussed the rules of the first rule of the overriding. So what is overriding? If parent, so you have the implementation in the child class of the parent method. Let's say you have the parent method, and in the child class you will be having some method. Okay. If you're not satisfied with parent class method, that you can override it. Okay. So it is overriding. Okay. So we already discussed different ways by which we can access the methods of the parent class. Let's say child c equal to new child, and what is the advantage of parent p equal to new child? Can we write child c equal to new parent? So that things we already discussed in the last classes, or so just go through that videos. Okay.
Yeah.
Polymorphism 1, polymorphism part 2 videos. Okay. So today we're going to discuss rules of overriding. So first rule is modifier. Second rule is return type. First rule modifier we already completed. Okay, let me create one class. Then I'll explain you. This is E. Okay, polymorphism demo. In that I'll create a class, parent class, and in the same package I'll create one more class that is called child class. Okay, now in the child class I select the publish study void main. Finish. Okay, so parent have, let's say, public void m1. Okay, so parent m1, not, and this I'll say test1 method. So parent test1 method. Now, so when we override, okay, so this is your test1 method in the parent class. If you override in the child, how we can override? Public void test1. Okay, now you can see there is no override icon here because we need to make a relationship between the
And
parents and the child. Correct. Yes. So once we establish a relationship, so there is a relationship between the how we can establish a relationship between the with the help of the extends keyword. So once relationship is established, by default all the methods are available to the child class. So here you can see if you are not satisfied with the test1 class, test1 method which is present in the parent class, so we can override. You can see the green icon. Okay,
yeah.
so that means it is override. Okay, now in the overriding test1 child class. So in overriding, everything we check. Okay, what everything? The rules for the overriding. Overriding, uh, see, this is a prototype of the method from here to here. Okay, let's say this is a prototype of method. And in case if it is exception here, let's say it's the exception. So this is a full prototype of the methods. Public void test1 arguments throws means it's exception. So when you do the overriding, everything will be checked, by the compiler. So when we do overriding in the child class, then compiler will do the overriding of each and everything which are present in the method. Okay, it will check the public, it will check the modifier actually, it will check the return type, and it will check the method name, it will check the arguments, it will check the exception. So everything will be checked by the compiler when we do the overriding. So modifier we have already covered in the last class. So now we discuss about the return type. Okay. So first next rule is return type, and third is method. I can say method. Fourth I say method. Fourth, fourth is arguments. Okay. This exception. Okay, so these are the five rules for the overriding: modifiers, return type, methods, arguments, exceptions. So everything will be checked when you do the overriding. It will be checked by the compiler. So this thing is covered. Now let's discuss over the return type. So when we do the overriding, so in the test one method, void is return type, correct? So void is return type. That means child should have the same return type. Okay, child should have the same return type, otherwise it will give a compilation error. See,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So so if you change the return type in the child class, so it will give you the compilation error. Now it will give you a suggestion: change the return type of the test one to void, or change the return type of override in test one. Either you can make int to parent, okay, or you can make the void to child class method. So return type should be the same. If you are making int here, so make sure you should have the same return type int also here. So make sure you should have the same return type. Okay, same return type. Okay. Now we'll see another method. If I say another method here, public void int here, and this is your test2 method. Test2 method. Here you can have the test2 method. Okay, no, it is return statement we need to give. So return. So int is return type. So that's why it giving the zero. Zero is the int value. Okay. So this is syntax for the return type methods. Okay, which return the zero, some int value. Okay. So this is a method. Int is a return type. If you override this method, same method in the child class, let's see what will happen here. Okay. Now you can see it is override. You can see the icon here in the left hand side. Correct. Why it is the override in the child? Because int is a return type here, and you can see the int return type. So every prototype will be checked by the compiler when you do the overriding. Okay. So
Sir,
this is,
can we, instead of integer, can we replace into string or some boolean value?
yes, if I say double here, it will give a compilation error. Okay. Okay. So return type should be same. Here if it is int, here it should be double. It should not be double. It should be int. Okay. If I make it, let's say if I make a float. Okay. Sorry, float. It will give you a compilation error. If I'll make it a string, it will give you the error.
No, no, I
Okay.
am Dharma, I'm asking, we need to pass this value string, float, double, or any value in parent class, then we are calling that, overriding that parent child class.
Your voice is not audible to me properly. Some
Okay.
disturbance is going on. वापस से बोलो.
Here's the public string is to a parent class. We are overriding that particular child class. Will it possible like the integer?
No. What you're saying, you're passing the parameter.
Yeah.
Parameter, you're asking for the parameter,
Yeah, I'm
right?
asking for
Like this.
parameter. Yeah.
Now, parameter topic is different. Okay. So, if we do let's say if the parameter, so this is not overriding actually. Okay,
Hmm.
everything will be checked. If it is a zero argument, zero argument, the method, it should have a zero argument method also in the child class. Otherwise, it will, child will treat as a separate method. It's a separate method. It's not overriding. You can see here the icon is, disappeared from here. The moment when we, uh, the moment when we write this string, it will, you can see here, it is not displaying. Okay, icon. Okay, now if you see, some error is giving because return type should be same. So I'll make this return type int. Okay, got it. See, whatever you are writing here, okay, whatever you're writing, it should be same here. Same. If you make a change here, let's say if I make change, let's say if I make change to int a, you can see this icon overriding icon is disappeared from here, right? Because this is not a overriding. This is a, it's a separate method, say additional method for the child class.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
got
got
it?
it. Yeah, got it.
Okay, so now if I remove this arguments, you can see the icon is appeared here. That means overriding. So for the overriding, first rule, it will check the modifier. Compiler will check the modifier. That rule we already discussed in the last classes. Just go through that videos. Now today's topic is, to check the return type. So return type should be same. Whatever the return type is present in this test2 method of parent class int, in the child it should have int. Okay, got it?
Yeah, got it.
Because we are focusing only the return type at this moment. Okay, next rule we'll discuss about the method. Next rule we'll discuss about the arguments and then exception. Okay, then after that overriding is completed.
Yeah,
Okay, ठीक है ना?
yeah,
ठीक है. Okay, so till 1.5 Java, uh, till 1.4 I can say till 1.4 Java version, till 1.4 Java version, that means uh, let's say you have the primitive data types. Primitive data types. Primitive means int, char, float, short, right? Boolean. So these are the 8 data types. So if you use the 8 data types, that means in the chat class you should have the same return type. Okay. Let's say if you're using any of the data types, byte, short, int, float, char. So make sure in the child class you should have the same return type, same return type. Okay. But 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 from, or you can say 1.5 onwards, 1.5 onwards, 1.5 Java version onwards. Okay, Java version onwards, new concept is introduced. New concept is introduced. What is that? Covariant, covariant return type,
covariant.
covariant return type concept. Okay, so what is that covariant return concept? Covariant return type concept says, this concept says you can have, the different return type, okay, but at the object level, at the class level, not at the primitive level. Got it?
Yeah,
Okay, till 1.4 Java version you should have the same return type at the primitive level, but from the Java 1.5, covariant return type concept says you can have the different return type at the object level. बट प्रिमिटिव का जो था ना कि प्रिमिटिव शुड बी सेम, इट इज already there in the 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.5 also. Okay, it is not changed. So if you are using the return type as a 8, oh, sorry, if if you are using the return type of any primitive, then you should have the same return type If we are using the object or the class, you can have a different return type. Okay,
Yeah,
let's say let's say let's say if we are using the object here. Okay, so object is my return type. Okay, got it.
yeah,
Now object is what? Object is class, and child you can have string. See, yes, correct.
yeah,
So you can see still it is overriding. You can see the icon. In the child class, you have the string, and the parent you have the object. Okay. And earlier we are discussing that you should have the same return type. Okay. But now we are discussing that you can have a different return type, right? By introducing a covariant return concept from the 1.5 Java version. But that covariant concept will say that you can have the different return type, but at the class level, not at the primitive level. Got it?
yeah,
Okay. Okay. First rule says this one. Second point is that let's say uh, if you have the return type is object here, okay, then you can have the same return type here or its child. What is the meaning of that? Let's say if you can have the same return type. Okay, if it is object, you can have the same object, right? Okay, next thing you can also have the string. Have also the string. That means what is the meaning of that? Uh, I'll open notepad. Okay. Object is in the parent, correct? Object return type in parent. ठीक है. And child में you have the string, or you can have or you can have the object return type. Okay. In child.
Dharam, we cannot use the integer double quotes in a child class, correct?
Yes, yes, we can use it. Let's just let me finish this one. Okay, so
That
then
will
I
be
will
the
explain you.
will that be all right?
Yes, 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 yes. It will override. So just listen carefully the second concept. Okay, second is very important. So if your return type in the parent class method is object, okay, in the child class method when you do the overriding, make sure you should have the same return type, or you can have the you can have the child class return type of the object. Okay, got it?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, so that means object is super class. You can have the child of object. Okay, just take an example, another example. So if you have the object, you can have object in the parent, then you can have integer also in the integer in child, because object is super class. Okay, so parent class method should have the higher return type. Make sure. So simple concept. The parent class method, this is a parent class, guys. Okay, and object. So make sure the parent class method should have the higher return type compared to the child class. Okay, or it may be same return type, but child does not have the higher than parent. Simple concept. Got it? I cannot make it like this. If I say object here, if I say object here, okay, and now if I say child, if I say string here, it is not possible.
Not possible, yeah, correct. In object should be the present
Okay,
in a parent class, and then in child class you can use the string integer method also, correct?
correct, 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 correct. You can see here compilation error, right? So
Yeah,
compiler will check that. Okay, in the child class method, uh, this return type should be same of the parent class return type, or this should be the child of this return type. But object is not a child of string. Correct?
yeah, correct.
Got it? So
Yeah.
make sure that return type in the parent class method should have the higher than the child class method return type. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, I'll take another example. If it is a child, if I can check the integer also. Okay, integer is a class, right?
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Now this is object. You can take the integer also here. Okay, you can say integer,
Oh,
right? Here integer and here the parent. So parent class return type is object is the higher than the child class method return type. Okay, so this rule is completed. Okay,
yeah.
second rule is completed. Now we are going to discuss about the methods, arguments, and then exception. Okay, so there is some important concept also in the return type that we'll discuss. So let me, this stop the recording. Then okay, then we'll start again.